Hello, this is the reading lecture for Seeing Through Maps by Madeline Ffirtch. This is a really great story because one of the things that I love a lot about this story that Fitch is doing and that I really want you to pay attention to is the way that as the story goes, things are unfolding, unfolding, unfolding. This is a narrator who kind of gives information very begrudgingly. Think about how long it took for, our narrator to we are, she's, constantly referring to, oh, my neighbor, oh, my other neighbor. Well, it takes us a little while to learn that the first neighbor is actually her ex-husband, and the second neighbor is her son that she and her husband are heavily estranged from. And that son's name is Duncan. And that when her neighbor severs his thumb in a woodcutting accident, she has to take him to the hospital. We see, our kind of outside characters, Dr. Raheem, he's referring to Duncan. He's talking about, oh, you're his parents. Oh, you're that. He's kind of assuming this relationship between the two of them, that these two extremely estranged characters, like they don't acknowledge this relationship, that they had they weren't truly married. They were together. They had a child together. And at some point they became heavily estranged and they moved to other sides of this property, but they never left each other. And we're seeing things unfold. And over the course of the story, we finally start learning, like, why is Duncan estranged from his parents? What is he angry at them for? Why is he kind of rejected their very strange lifestyle? What does he hold resentment from them for? And we can see the narrator really does hold herself responsible. We start realizing for not protecting Duncan better when he was a child. We see the language use is so important in this story by Fitch. How the narrator kind of quantifies her relationships with, her former partner, with her son Duncan, the way that her affection for him is still held so strongly, the way that things just unfold slowly. This is a story that after you read it the first time and you suddenly goes, oh, that's the relationship. Oh, that's what was going on with Duncan as a 3-year-old, that at some point his mother really, like, she made what was for her a profound movement. She took her child and she started to leave. She started to leave the property and kind of take him away back into kind of more the regular world. And we see how she kind of got pulled back, this idea that she didn't have a plan. She wasn't sure what to go to. She went back to what she knew was a toxic environment for her. She knew was essentially borderline abusive as well, but she kind of got hooked back in. And we see that she's never been able to leave, that Duncan was finally able to go, but in doing so, he cut himself off from both parents. And so this is definitely one of the stories that when you kind of get to that end and you see that revelation, it's one where you really have to go back and be like, okay, now I'm going to go back and read this from the beginning and see how on earth Fitch got here and how she's very slowly revealing elements. This is just really a gorgeous story, like beautifully told. Such really control, great control of language, that great control of information. We can really kind of see in a lot of, the short, essays we've written, like what kind of lenses we could apply to this. This is a really lovely story. I hope people enjoyed it. It is one of my favorites from the Best American of this year. If you didn't like it, that's okay as well. You always, can choose whether or not, something you liked, or whether or not something spoke to you, or whether you found it a hard read, an easy read, an enrapturing read, as I particularly find this one. But a lot of interesting things to pull out of this particular story. So I hope that people, after watching this, kind of go back and give it another read. What's jumping at you? What do you feel about our narrator? What are you seeing kind of about this emotional state, about what's going on in this very strange circumstance, and that really profound use of, like, almost exquisitely precise terminology and use of language in this story. And we kind of see so many elements, that are kind of baked in from the beginning, just kind of come out at the end and get their payoff, that she didn't feel she had a map, that scene of the map at the front, the foxes, who loves foxes, the way she shared foxes with their children, the idea of where you pee in the woods, also coming out, coming around with the fox peeing as well. So we have just a lot of this is a lovely, beautifully rendered story and a lot of fun stuff to pull out of it and make use of.